Hello, Soapboxers. Welcome to the Up on the Soapbox podcast. We're in episode 12. We now can use words like a dozen. So we're not just counting anymore. We actually have things to, classify the amount of podcast episodes that we've done. So good job, Dan. Good job, Brett. We're very happy to be where we are here. Today is another very special episode of Up on the Soapbox. Um, that always reminds me of after school specials from back in the day, but I'm probably dating myself there. So I'm going to stay away from the very special episode thing. So we have a great day today. We have a great guest. One of our founding supplier is with us today, and I'll get to him in a second. I'd just like to introduce my partner here, Dan Piggott. Dan, what's going on, my friend?
Not too much this morning. Had a nice little walk on the beach. Lucky me today. This morning, my walk this morning was along the cliffs here in Montauk, New York, and never gets old, you know. So just kind of working remotely, remotely, right? So I'm working normally remotely now. This is, what do you call it if it's remotely once removed? You know, I don't even know. But anyway, that's what we're doing today.
I'm going to
What are
let
you
you
doing
figure.
today?
I'm going to let you
What do you?
figure that one out. Well, I
Okay,
took a
fair
walk
enough.
along the water as well, except mine was a lake, so I'm not quite as cool as you. And certainly it wasn't Montauk; it was Lake Wiley, South Carolina. But nonetheless, it's a really crappy weather day, so I'm living vicariously through you. And I saw the little video that you shot up there on our Facebook page to do today, and I felt zen. So you did a great job of capturing the moment. So with us today, we have an old friend of ours, Eric Johnson. He's the VP of Sales and Marketing over at Halls and Company slash ID Line. I added the slash in there. And we could talk a little bit about that here. But thanks for being here today, Eric. Let's hear a little bit about you. What's going on in your world out there? And you're in Minnesota today, correct? Not down in Arizona, but you'll tell us all about that. So what's happening?
Correct. I am actually coming to you from the North Woods of Minnesota. I was at the factory last week, drove up, got out of the 118-degree heat in Arizona, and yesterday here in northern Minnesota. Yeah, up north there, you got to go up north to the cabin up there and, go fishing and, see the woods up there and everything. It was 61 degrees here. It's like
That's literally half the temperature of
I
Arizona.
literally did not go outside. I went outside, had a soda, and I went back inside. It was like too cold. I said, no, I'm out. I can't do this. I had I had pants on for the first time. Normally I wear shorts. Okay. Just saying, just trying to keep this family friendly, there. So a little bit about me. I'm Eric Johnson. I'm one of the owners of Halls and Company ID Line. My mother actually started the company 50 years ago. So this year is our 50th year in business. Earlier you were asking about you asked about Hall's ID Line. We go way back to the point where a supplier company never put their company name on a catalog. So our company name is Halls and Company, and we created ID Line because we do a lot of identification products as our line name. So we became ID Line. Well, fast forward to 2021, and now people don't seem to care if your name is on the catalog or not. And we've always been in a situation where half the people know us as Halls and Company, half the people know us as ID Line. So we try to combine the two. We go, right now we have ID Line by Halls and Company. And a couple of years ago, we acquired a company that got us into the mouse pad and counter mat business. We've added coasters to the line. We've added leatherette products. And that's all under the umbrella of Act Now Media. So we acquired that company a couple of years ago. So now it's ID Line by Halls and Company and Act Now Media by Halls and Company. And that's kind of the genesis to where we are at today in 2021.
I wonder, as an industry, how close we are to that whole concept, finally going away and sticking with the one company name, you know what I mean? The whole icon. I know when you started, it was customary to do that. And I'm just curious if we think we're inching closer to that.
I probably, I would have to say so, because I mean, nowadays, you take companies like, Hit, it's Hit, it's, Fi. I mean, Compass, it's there's the whole secret, the secret identity thing is now kind of like, who cares? There's this thing called the internet that you can find anything. So, yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I think it's definitely not as important as it was 25 years ago. So
Then you run into a
Now, how
situation like
long?
look at Hub, and they have 10 different
Yeah.
brands that they've acquired along the way that were standalone brands that people recognize by name. So what does a company like that do? It is challenging for a company in that situation, and with M&As, doing nothing but picking up in steam. What happens
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, I mean, even Cousy encountered that when they've done their acquisitions recently, and there's just a bunch of them out there. It's like, how do you maintain that original brand and integrate it in with a company that has acquired you? It's a challenge nowadays. So
Mm. Now, how long have you been with the company, Eric?
I've been with the
How did
company
you get involved?
well, I've been with the company for 50 years. I started when I was 7. I come home from first grade and everything, and back then we bought the badges all pre-made. They had a little plastic cover on them, so I would sit there watching cartoons and peeling the plastic off the badges, and I got paid a penny a badge. I left the company for a while, and I've been with the company in my current role for probably about 27, 28 years. It seems like just, yeah, you always say the other day, and somebody says, yeah, that was 14 years ago. Just
Yeah.
so yeah, about 27-ish years been with the company in my current role.
I think I started my child labor at about 8 or 9 years old, getting paid by the piece as well. So I can certainly relate to that. And
I mean, I don't know why our parents didn't pay us by the hour. I mean, we were probably pretty good. I mean, I don't know why we got paid piecemeal. It just doesn't make sense.
well, if I recall, when I started doing that, I think minimum wage was about $2.20 an hour. So I was actually doing better on piecemeal. So
Yeah, probably.
yeah, it's great. So yeah, I can definitely relate to the family business thing, and certainly that allure ultimately changed my paths and my careers back in my day as well. And I did. So you literally started at 7 when you were as far back as you can remember.
Yeah, I mean, we started out in the basement of our house. My mother actually, she started out engraving keycaps for my dad's computer company back in the 70s. And in the downtime, she put up little tiny displays to put in nursing uniform shops with some badges on it. And she would go around every day and pick up the order forms, engrave the badges that night, and then ship them out the next day. And eventually people said, hey, can you put a logo on this for our medical clinic or whatever it was? So we had screen printing and everything on our washer and dryer, and we reclaimed the screens on our laundry tub. And I mean, that's kind of how it was. And again, fast forward to today, now we got 25,000 square feet of space. We've got technology like you couldn't imagine. And I mean, before we used to do a few badges overnight. Now, I mean, the other day we did 1,400 luggage tags for a distributor overnight because it was for a specific event the next day. So our capabilities are astronomically increased, and our flexibility is of course absolutely off the charts. So
Let me ask you, so each product category or most product categories in promotional products, have their own idiosyncrasies about them, right? So, apparel, you have to deal with sizing issues and things like that. So what should people know about the ID badge business that makes it unique and different in terms of selling it, presenting it, the concept behind it? You know what I mean? How does it kind of work in the badge business? What makes it so special?
here's what makes it challenging: variable data and personalization. I mean, we've had to become experts at personalization or variable data, as it's now more referred to. Because what happens is when you do a product, whether it's a name badge or a tag, or we can even personalize mouse pads and counter mats. Once you put somebody's name on it, it becomes extra special to them. Boy, you better get the spelling right. You better get the location right. You better get the umlauts and all the other characters, the capitals, the uppercase, lowercase, all that figured out, nailed down. Because once somebody gets that, it's now theirs. And if you spelled Bob wrong, yeah, you know how you can spell it wrong there. A little happy with the O. Boy, Bob's not happy anymore. And now Bob isn't yelling at us, they're yelling at the distributor. So we always have to keep in mind that the personalization is not on us. It's on the distributor. It's on the end customer. How do we make that distributor look like the shining star that they are? So we got to make sure we get everything right. Absolutely 100% right.
Well, and how else does it work if I'm a hospital chain or a hotel chain or a bank or actually any number of industries? I don't hire 1,000 people at a time. So how does it work where I hire 3 people this week? I can order 3 badges from you?
Sure. We actually have an online portal. We call it badgerelease.com. And what we do is customer will order, let's say they have 1,000 employees, but they're going to be adding some. Maybe you order 1,200, take delivery on that first 1,000. We're going to keep the balance of 200 in inventory, and we will release them 1 or 2 at a time as they need them. Now, what we can do with ours is the end customer can go in and do it, because the site is completely devoid of any of our information on it. So the end customer can go in, release 1 or 2 name badges. When they do that, the distributor will get email notification that an order has been done. And then we get the order, we ship it out in 24 to 48 hours. Okay. Now we've expanded that beyond badges. We've actually got it now so we can put mouse pads in our release program. We can put counter mats. We can put coasters in there. We can put leatherette picture frames in there, where a distributor's customer as a photographer can go in and order more picture frames than what they want. And then that photographer, whenever they sell a package, they can actually order a picture frame, let's say it's for a wedding, with the wedding couple's name and the date that they got married on it. And imagine how great that would be for the guy to have a picture frame sitting on the table with their anniversary date on it, day in and day out. They're never going to forget their anniversary. They will always know when the anniversary is.
Is that really a thing? Do people forget their anniversary?
No,
Come on.
I never.
Okay, so this is a true story, and my wife's in the next room. I forgot our anniversary one time, our wedding anniversary. I forgot it one time. What saved me is she forgot it at the same time.
Oh, perfect.
We both forgot it the same year. True story. Swear to God, it was unbelievable. Thank you.
You guys were pretty busy that year, weren't you?
So let's talk about your physical location. You live in Arizona. Are you a snowbird officially? How do you split your time?
We've been a snowbird for the last couple of years because we've had an RV, hashtag RV promo life. Is that how you do the hashtag RV promo life?
The kids today are doing it that way.
The kids today, no, Gen Z, who knows? So the last couple of summers, we have gotten out for a couple of months. This year, we sold the RV, got top dollar for it because apparently the RV market is as hot as the real estate market. And my wife and I got in the car. Okay, we had to repack the car because we had too much stuff because we no longer had the RV. So packed up the car, drove up to Minnesota. Like I said, I was in the factory last week doing Soapbox meetings in the factory. And we decided to come up to my parents' place in northern Minnesota for a couple of weeks. We're going to do kind of back and forth between the cities. Our son lives up here. He's a flight instructor, just got a job with SkyWest Airlines. So be aware, if you fly on American Delta or United, he could be your pilot one day. I'm getting off that plane, by the way. Hey, I grew up with the kid. I know what he's like. Okay, well, he's a fabulous. He is a wonderful pilot. He does aerobatic stuff. So I've been upside down in a plane with him.
Wow.
That's just
on purpose? He does
on
this?
purpose. Yes, he said, all right, Dad, we're going to fly inverted now, and this is what we're going to do. And we went, okay. Well, when you're flying upside down for a while, for those of us who travel 100,000 miles a year or used to travel 100,000 miles a year, flying upside down, you start looking at the wings and you go, are they going to pop off? Can we go right side up again? So that's what we're doing. My mother-in-law's coming up here for a couple of weeks. Our daughter's coming up here for a week or so. So just nice to get out of the Arizona heat. I mean, it gets old after a while. So
yeah.
All right, so we're going to transition now over to our soapbox portion of our podcast right now, and we're going to talk about our soapbox moments. And I think I might as well take it first today. I'm talking to a Minnesota guy, and I was looking back at the topics I've covered. so far, and I realize I haven't really focused on sports at all. So since we got a Minnesota guy on the line today, I'm going to talk a bit about hockey. And I'm going with hockey is the best sport by far. It's the toughest players. It's the fastest sport. The guys that are give back more to the community than any other players I've ever seen in any sport. The games are relatively short. I mean, in 2.5 hours, you can move on to your whatever it is you need to move on to in your life. Their athleticism. They don't get on the injured reserve list for 4 weeks because they lost a tooth. They miss 5 minutes in the locker room and they come back out and play. We're in the middle of hockey season, or the hockey playoffs right now. There's 4 teams left. We're almost to the Stanley Cup. So I got hockey on the brain. Hockey is the best professional sport there is in America. That's it.
I went to a fight the other day and a hockey game broke out.
That's just old, man. You should know there isn't much fighting left in hockey.
Minnesota is the state of hockey. So,
oh, by the way, I always look forward to the high school hair video that comes out from Minnesota every year. They talk about the flows of all the high school hockey players. It's fantastic. I love
hockey hair. Yep.
But my take on hockey, first of all, I am very happy that the fighting has subsided, because I honestly never took it seriously as a sport, because they promoted it, they showed it on TV. It was kind of a thing, and that is gone away. Now you'll have scuffles in every single sport, and we understand that. Emotions are high and tensions are high. I get that. So I'm really, really pleased that that's sort of gone from hockey. From my own perspective, it's hard to watch on television because you can't follow the puck, and I never know. They show highlights. I said, look at this play. I miss it. And I just don't even see it. Now, granted, I'm a basketball player. I grew up basketball, same season, and so I never paid any attention to hockey, and I'll give you that. But your points are well taken. Those guys to skate like that, takes so much endurance and strength, and it's an incredible skill sport, no question about it. I didn't realize that you think they do more sort of community-based work than any other sport. I don't know anything about that, and if that's true, that's excellent as well. So I'm not going to rail on hockey. I'm just not all that interested in it myself. And you want to call it the best sport?
I'd expect this response from you.
It's subjective. I mean, so there you go. That's your best.
Of course it is. It's my moment. It's all subjective. You're absolutely right. So what do you have to say that's so much better? Go ahead.
And you got to define what makes it the best sport.
That's right.
This is my moment, people. My moment.
Well, listen, I'm gonna change here, and mine's gonna be the probably my fastest soapbox moment I've had, and it's just an observation that I made last week in Pennsylvania. So I don't know exactly. I think I'm going to go back. It was about 8 years ago, maybe. Pennsylvania rescinded their helmet laws for motorcycles, and I'm not a motorcycle guy. So most motorcyclists, I'm sure, are like, that's great. I get to know. I just look at it. I think it's society moving backwards. It's like saying we're rescinding our seatbelt laws in cars, it seems to me. And I just don't understand it. And every time I see these guys driving around in Pennsylvania, of course, I live about 800 yards from New Jersey, where you need a helmet. So as soon as I cross the river, it's back to, what I consider to be a more safe sort of situation. But what's your state like in South Carolina and Arizona and Minnesota? Do they have helmet laws out there? Do you know?
South Carolina has no laws of any kind.
Everything's more of a suggestion in North Carolina. Arizona, Minnesota, helmets are optional. And it's kind of a 50-50 thing. I actually used to ride motorcycles a lot. I've done the Great Circle Tour around Lake Superior and everything. Canada, you got to wear a helmet. I look at it as, when I went to go buy my first helmet, I'm standing there looking at a wall of helmets, and they range from about $99 up to about $800. And it's at that point in your life that you look at it and you go, how much is my head worth? Well, apparently my head was worth about $250. I was kind of in the middle. And that's kind of how I look at it as, I mean, it on a motorcycle is not necessarily, if you're going to go down, it's when you're going to go down or when that car is going to pull out in front of you. And I mean, there's only so much you can tuck and roll when you go down and protect your head at the same time. So
Yeah.
I always wore a helmet. I had both a full face and a half helmet. The half helmet was good for hot days. The full face was good when it was cold out. So I think you got to wear a helmet.
Well, and really the point of it is they rescinded a helmet law that was already in place. And it was only like 6 or 7 years ago. That's the point of this. That's crazy. I think that's crazy. You had something.
And I don't want to necessarily put words in your mouth, Eric, but do we really want to ruin this? I mean, look how much work we've done here.
I mean, I've shined mine up. I've done everything I can to make it, as pretty as possible. So
yeah, definitely want that helmet. Got to keep that protected. All right, Eric. The show is yours here. What's your soapbox moment? Why don't you step up on the soapbox here?
When you guys asked me to do this, I ran through a lot of subjects. On social media, I've been pretty bold over the last few years, and I've reined it back. I remember Dan and we had a conversation at an embassy suite, and you said, "Whoa, rein it back, dude." I've had people unfollow me, unfriend me for my controversial viewpoints, and now that I have a big soapbox, as Pete Gleason said last week, I'm only 5'7", and I love to stand up on a box. People can actually see me. So this is my soapbox moment. I know people will probably unfollow me. Heck, they might even kick me off the social media platforms for what I'm about to talk about. Let's talk about Coke versus Pepsi. Okay. Have you ever gone into a restaurant and they say, "Can I take your drink order?" And somebody orders a water and an iced tea and a beer. And I say, "I'll have a Diet Coke." And they look at you and they're apologizing. They go, "I'm sorry, we only have Pepsi." I mean, it's like when you go to the vet and with your sick goldfish, and the vet comes out and they go, "I'm sorry, we couldn't save the goldfish." I mean, no server is excited to say, "Hey, but we have Pepsi. Would you like that instead?" No, I mean, you say, "Can I have a Diet Coke?" And they go, "No, we only have Pepsi. I'm so sorry." And then you say, "Could you run to the store and get me a Diet Coke?" And 9 times out of 10, they go, "I'd love to, but I can't." So
what is your take though? I mean, are you?
I am Diet Coke, man, all the way, Diet Coke. When they say we don't have Diet Coke, would you like a Diet Pepsi? No, It's not the same.
Wow.
It's totally different. Give me a regular Pepsi. The Diet Pepsi, it's kind of.
Now here's along the same lines. Does anyone sit down at the restaurant and go, "I'll have a Pepsi"? No one asks for it either, right?
No, they say, "I'll have a soda." We have Pepsi. Okay. I mean, if they're kind of a non-committal person, they're probably the type of person that doesn't want to get married, doesn't want to get a dog. I mean, I'll take a Pepsi.
So you've really dug in on this.
Pepsi's
just not an option.
Pepsi, not an option. Yeah. I mean, they make some good chips and stuff, but no Pepsi. Just Diet Coke it is.
You refuse the Pepsi? What you refuse the Pepsi if they offer you a Pepsi?
I'll get a Pepsi.
You broke them down. Dan. Good job.
Yeah. I will get the Pepsi if that's all they got.
Well, you know what? You take the Pepsi, you put a little Bacardi in it, and you should be okay.
I can't, I had a bad experience with Jack Daniels, so I can't do Jack Daniels in anything.
It's funny how that works, by the way. I mean, I had when I was a lot younger, I'll leave it at that. I had a bad experience with Southern Comfort. And the minute I smell that to this day, it's been 30 plus years. The minute I smell that to this day, I'm like, wow, no way am I going near that stuff.
I was just shy of what's called legal drinking age, and
just shy of what's called legal drinking age. It's called it because it's legal drinking age. Yeah. Okay.
So I got a couple.
It's like things. North Carolina. Is it really more of a legal thing, or is it more of a suggestion?
Right, exactly. I got a couple of different angles on this Coke Pepsi debate. And first of all, Michael Jackson wasn't able to get you to sway over to Pepsi. I mean, even with all of his brilliant commercial making, that wasn't enough.
Never enough. No.
Is so Minnesota being Midwest, is it soda or pop?
Okay, now here's where my wife and I go back and forth because it's pop and I say soda. I grew up saying pop, but now I say soda more to annoy my wife than anything else.
Oh,
So
But
I'm
makes
gonna
sense.
add
everyone else,
I'm gonna add a new wrinkle to that, which is something I learned when I moved down here 7 years ago, down to the Carolinas. If you're in a restaurant and you want to order a soda of any kind of flavor, all you do, you order a Coke, and then you say, "I'll take a Coke," and then they say, "What kind?" "Oh, orange." That's how they do it here. That's even more
Yeah.
peculiar. So, by the way, Pepsi was founded in North Carolina. I don't know if you knew that. So it's in New Bern, North Carolina. After we exchanged messages yesterday, I had heard it since I've been here, but I wanted to verify that. Pepsi was founded down here in the late 1800s, and that doesn't make me choose one way or another. Just a
well, maybe that explains a few things then
Was
about
Co-
Pepsi.
was Coke founded in Atlanta or just headquartered down that way? Do we know?
that I don't know, but I do know they're headquartered there.
Yeah, they headquartered it.
Well, does the Coke fan know?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think we've done this. We've done enough discussion
Yeah,
about Coke versus
yeah,
Pepsi, and then
we've killed this.
we clearly know where Eric stands, and when he's desperate enough, Pepsi is just fine. So let's wrap this up with our yes no question, and this one we catered just to you, so you're welcome. All right. So is the job of an elected official more difficult than that of a VP of Sales and Marketing?
Yes.
And why would you say that, Eric? By the way, having served in local office, what were you on, a town council, Eric? What was your
Yeah,
position?
I was served. I was elected to a city council for three terms. I served out 2.5 of them before I moved from Minnesota to Arizona. And I served on a planning commission for 4 years prior to that. Here's what I say, okay? As an elected official, in my viewpoint, you are elected to serve your constituents who put you there, okay? And in my case, my primary focus was to represent the constituents in my ward. So if an issue came up, I would do what was best for all of my constituents. It could actually damage me or be detrimental to me, but if it was better for the majority of my constituents, I would either vote for it or whatever. My second thing was to the residents of the actual city. So it's my ward plus the other 3 wards. And third on that list was anything that actually concerned me. And I think that mentality has been lost in the current elected official role, is that they seem to they seem to represent either the people who gave them the most money or the people that can keep them, quote unquote, in power. I mean, the entire time I was on city council, people go, "Oh, you're a city councilman." I go, "Yeah, don't worry, it's nothing. Don't worry about it." Whereas nowadays, when people are elected to an office, that's how they start. I'm an elected so and so, and I think it's more difficult because you're representing more people. As a supplier, I mean, you're trying to make a sale. That's really all you're doing. You're nice to people, you're helpful to people, but boy, when that issue comes to their front doorstep, they are fired up. And I always got asked to run for the school board, and I said, no way will I ever run on a school board, because if people are fired up about the road in front of their house, imagine how fired up they get about their child's education.
Mhm. But you are talking about, when you do run a supplier company or any business, you are talking about the livelihood sort of your customer, right? So, and they get fired up about that too. So I think there's, if you're taking profit away from them and in some decision that you make running a business, in their mind anyway, their perspective, I think you also have some possibility to have some irate customers on occasion as well. So that's the compare and contrast, I guess.
Yeah, I would agree. There's certainly, there's a lot of similarities. But I think business wise versus, your personal house wise, I mean, I can't tell you the number of quote unquote discussions I got in with people that would just become unhinged because of taxes, how much they're paying in taxes. And you would tell them, well, half the taxes that you pay go toward police and fire. And the comments you would get would be, well, I've never had the police come to my house. Why should I pay for the police?
Right.
Well, maybe you've never had the police come to your house because the police are out there policing. So
Yeah. Well, and the other frustration, I think you alluded to this nicely though, is, if you're running a business, you have a vision for it, you have a structure, you have a hierarchy, and you're moving towards a goal. And what you're suggesting is, it's not necessarily your goal when you're sitting in elected office. You've got to take in other considerations, and that makes it more difficult to manage. That's interesting.
what, a good elected official does it because they want to give back. That's the big difference. They're not doing it for the money. They're not doing it for the power. They're doing it to create a environment, a social system, a community that is better for everybody.
That's why they call it public service.
Exactly.
And that's exactly where I want to end this. That's the perfect message. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate you being with us.
Guys.
Appreciate you being a founding supplier on the Soapbox. You all can see Eric and Halls and Company /ID line on the Soapbox. Thanks for being with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.